Standing backstage at the Apollo Theater, Fat Joe felt his heart racing uncontrollably as sweat poured down his face. But this wasn't stage nerves. It was something far more dangerous. For 6 months he had been hiding a medical condition that could end his career instantly if anyone found out. And tonight, with 15,000 fans waiting and his biggest break on live television, his body was finally giving up on him. What happened in the next 2 hours would either prove he was unstoppable or destroy everything he had worked for. But the real shock wasn't his illness. It was who had been secretly helping him survive it for months. If you want to see how determination and hidden loyalty saved one of hip-hop's biggest careers from medical disaster, hit subscribe right now because this story will inspire you and shock you at the same time. March 23, 2003, Apollo Theater, Harlem. This wasn't just any performance for Fat Joe, this was the night that would make or break his transition from underground rapper to mainstream superstar. HBO was filming a special documentary about Latino artists in hip-hop, and Fat Joe was the headliner. Record executives, celebrity guests, and millions of television viewers would be watching. But as he stood in his dressing room trying to control his breathing, Joey knew that his secret medical condition was about to betray him at the worst possible moment. For the past 6 months, Fat Joe had been experiencing episodes of severe cardiac arrhythmia, irregular heartbeats that could cause him to collapse without warning. The condition had started as occasional dizzy spells during performances, but it had progressively gotten worse. Now the episodes were happening multiple times per week, sometimes lasting for hours, leaving him exhausted and terrified that he might collapse on stage in front of thousands of people. The worst part wasn't the physical symptoms, it was the secrecy. In the hip-hop world of 2003, any sign of weakness could be career suicide. Rappers were supposed to be invincible, larger than life, capable of handling anything. Admitting to a heart condition would not only end his performance career, but could also make him a target for rivals who would see his vulnerability as an opportunity to attack his credibility and masculinity. But you haven't seen how deep this secret really goes. What Fat Joe didn't know was that his condition had been detected months earlier during a routine insurance medical exam for his record contract. Sarah Martinez, the examining physician, had immediately recognized the severity of his arrhythmia and had been quietly monitoring his condition without his knowledge. She had access to his medical records through the insurance company and had been tracking his deteriorating health with growing concern. Dr. Martinez faced an ethical dilemma that kept her awake at night. Her professional obligation was to patient confidentiality, but she also knew that Fat Joe's condition could be life-threatening, especially under the stress of live performances. She had tried multiple times to contact him through official channels to discuss treatment options, but his management team always intercepted the calls, assuming they were from fans or journalists trying to get access to their client. The situation became critical when Dr. Martinez realized that Fat Joe's upcoming Apollo Theater performance would likely trigger a massive cardiac episode. The combination of physical exertion, emotional stress, stage lights, and adrenaline could literally kill him. She made a decision that violated several medical ethics guidelines but potentially saved his life. She decided to attend the concert and monitor him secretly from the audience, prepared to intervene if necessary. Right at this moment, Fat Joe's world was about to collapse. 30 minutes before showtime, Fat Joe experienced the worst cardiac episode of his life. His heart rate spiked to over 180 beats per minute. His vision blurred, and he collapsed in his dressing room. His manager Tony found him on the floor, conscious but barely able to speak. "Call 911, Joey whispered, finally accepting that his secret was about to become public in the most devastating way possible. But Tony made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Instead of calling an ambulance, which would have meant paramedics, police reports, media attention, and the end of Joey's career, he called the number on a business card that someone had slipped under Joey's dressing room door 30 minutes earlier. The card simply said, "Dr. Sarah Martinez, cardiac specialist," with a handwritten note. "I know about your condition. I'm here to help." When Dr. Martinez arrived in the dressing room 5 minutes later with a portable medical kit, Fat Joe was stunned. "How do you know about my condition? Who are you?" "I'm the doctor who first detected your arrhythmia 6 months ago during your insurance exam. I've been trying to reach you ever since because you need treatment before this kills you." Dr. Martinez immediately began checking his vital signs and preparing emergency medication. What she told him next changed everything. "Joey, you have a condition called atrial fibrillation that's being triggered by stress, caffeine, and physical exertion. It's completely treatable with the right medication, but untreated, it will eventually cause a stroke or heart attack. The good news is that with proper management, you can continue your career. The bad news is that tonight's performance could literally be your last if we don't handle this correctly." Fat Joe looked at Tony, then back at Dr. Martinez. "Can you get me through tonight? Can you get me on that stage without killing me? Dr. Martinez hesitated. From a medical standpoint, the safest option was to cancel the performance and get him to a hospital immediately. But she also understood what this night meant to his career and his dreams. I can get you through tonight, but afterwards you commit to proper treatment. No more hiding. No more pretending this isn't happening. Deal, Joey said without hesitation. Dr. Martinez administered a fast-acting beta blocker to regulate his heart rate and equipped him with a wireless heart monitor that would transmit his vital signs to her phone in real time during the performance. If your heart rate goes above 160, you get off that stage immediately, no matter what's happening. What happened during the performance shocked everyone. When Fat Joe took the stage at the Apollo Theater, he looked and sounded better than he had in months. The medication had stabilized his heart rate. But more importantly, knowing that he had medical support allowed him to perform without the constant fear of collapse that had been plaguing him for half a year. Dr. Martinez watched from the wings, monitoring his vital signs on her phone while the HBO cameras captured what would become one of the most powerful performances in Apollo Theater history. But the real magic happened when Fat Joe decided to use his performance to address his struggles with health, fear, and the pressure to appear invincible. Without revealing his specific medical condition, he began freestyling about the importance of taking care of yourself, acknowledging weakness, and seeking help when you need it. The audience responded with unprecedented enthusiasm, not because he appeared superhuman, but because he appeared genuinely human. I used to think strength meant never showing fear, he rapped. But real strength is facing your fears and asking for help when you need it. I got people looking out for me tonight, making sure I'm safe, making sure I can give you everything I got without destroying myself in the process. Martinez watched his heart rate remain stable throughout the 90-minute performance, but she also watched something more important. She watched Fat Joe transform from a man who was literally dying from stress and secrecy into an artist who was using vulnerability as a source of power. After the performance, the real transformation began. Fat Joe's collaboration with Dr. Martinez extended far beyond that single night at the Apollo. She became not just his personal physician, but also his advocate for health awareness in the hip-hop community. Together they developed a comprehensive treatment plan that allowed him to continue his career while managing his cardiac condition effectively. More importantly, Fat Joe became one of the first major hip-hop artists to speak openly about health issues, mental stress, and the importance of medical care. His willingness to discuss his struggles with cardiac arrhythmia inspired dozens of other artists to seek treatment for conditions they had been hiding out of fear for their careers. Dr. Martinez used her experience with Fat Joe to establish a medical outreach program specifically for performers and entertainers. Understanding that people in high-stress, high-visibility careers often avoid medical treatment because they fear it will damage their professional reputation. The program provided confidential medical care and helped artists understand that taking care of their health was essential to maintaining their careers, not threatening to them. The Apollo Theater performance became legendary for reasons beyond the music. The HBO documentary that featured Fat Joe's Apollo performance became one of the network's most watched music specials, partly because viewers could sense the authentic emotion and vulnerability in his performance. Many people commented that they had never seen him perform with such intensity and honesty, not knowing that they were witnessing an artist who had literally confronted his mortality and chosen to use that experience to create something meaningful. Fat Joe's openness about his health struggles also changed the conversation in hip-hop about masculinity, strength, and vulnerability. Other artists began sharing their own struggles with anxiety, depression, diabetes, and other medical conditions, creating a cultural shift that made it acceptable for performers to prioritize their health and well-being. 5 years later, the impact of that night was still growing. Dr. Martinez's work with Fat Joe led to the establishment of the Performer Health Initiative, a non-profit organization that provides free medical screenings and confidential treatment for artists, musicians, and entertainers. Fat Joe became the organization's primary spokesperson, using his platform to encourage other performers to take their health seriously. The cardiac monitoring technology that Dr. Martinez used during Fat Joe's Apollo performance was refined and developed into a commercial product that allows performers to monitor their vital signs during live shows, preventing medical emergencies, and allowing artists with health conditions to perform safely. Fat Joe's condition was successfully managed through a combination of medication, lifestyle changes, and stress management techniques. He continued performing for decades after that night at the Apollo, but with a completely different approach to his health and his relationship with his audience. The most important change was in Fat Joe's music itself. After his experience with Dr. Martinez and his cardiac condition, Fat Joe's lyrics became more honest, more personal, and more focused on real-life struggles rather than just material success and street credibility. He began writing songs about family, health, aging, responsibility, and the importance of having people in your life who care more about your well-being than your success. His relationship with Dr. Martinez also taught him about the different types of loyalty and support that exist in the world. She had risked her professional reputation to help him, not for money or fame, but because she believed that his life and career were worth saving. That experience influenced how he chose collaborators, friends, and business partners for the rest of his career. This is why Fat Joe's later music carried such authenticity and emotional depth. He had learned that real strength comes not from hiding your weaknesses, but from facing them honestly and building a support system that helps you overcome them. The night he almost collapsed at the Apollo Theater didn't end his career. It transformed it into something more meaningful and sustainable. Sometimes the people who save our lives are the ones we never expected to care about us. The partnership between Fat Joe and Dr. Martinez became a model for how medical professionals and entertainers could work together to prioritize health without compromising artistic careers. Their collaboration proved that vulnerability could be a source of strength rather than weakness, and that asking for help was a sign of wisdom, not failure. Years later, when young artists approached Fat Joe for advice about dealing with pressure, anxiety, and health issues in the entertainment industry, he would always tell them about that night at the Apollo. "The scariest moment of my life became the moment that saved my life," he would say. Sometimes you have to almost lose everything to understand what really matters. Your health, your family, your real friends. That's what success actually looks like. Everything else is just noise. The story of that night also became a testament to the power of medical professionals who go above and beyond their professional obligations to help their patients. Dr. Martinez's decision to attend the concert and provide emergency support violated several medical protocols, but it ultimately saved a life and created a model for healthcare that prioritized patient well-being over bureaucratic procedures. The wireless heart monitoring system that was developed from Dr. Martinez's improvised solution for Fat Joe's Apollo performance eventually became standard equipment for performers with cardiac conditions, allowing hundreds of artists to continue their careers safely while managing serious health issues. Most importantly, the experience taught Fat Joe that authenticity resonated with audiences more powerfully than invincibility. When he stopped trying to appear superhuman and started sharing his real struggles and vulnerabilities, his connection with fans deepened dramatically. The Apollo performance became legendary not because it was technically perfect, but because it was emotionally honest. The legacy of that night extended far beyond Fat Joe's personal career. It sparked a movement in hip-hop toward greater honesty about mental health, physical health, and the pressures of fame. Other artists began sharing their struggles with depression, anxiety, addiction, and illness, creating a culture where seeking help became acceptable.